and welcome to our very special February edition of ATXM News. I'm Jessica Forsyth.
And I'm Ray Price. And happy Black History Month.
We're both musicians working for musicians through Austin, Texas Musicians Nonprofit, serving the Central Texas music community on city, state, and federal policy, and providing basic needs and services that improve our quality of life.
So much of our advocacy work involves both education and preservation. And with this special Black History Month edition of ATXM News, we hope to shine a spotlight on some very important Black musicians who make Austin music what it is.
Yes, we've gone in depth with 3 Black Austin musicians that you, our audience, told us you wanted to hear about.
Without further ado, we sat down with singer-songwriter Poet Hawkins to hear more about his music and his journey as a musician. Let me tell you, it was fantastic. It was moving, it was soulful and genuine. I don't want to spoil it all. I don't want to spoil it. You'll see it on this footage here, but it was an incredible time, and he is a fantastic artist, and we were honored to be able to sit down with Poet, learn his story. Check it out.
Was it hard to lay your love down? Are you planted in his arms right now? And don't those weeds feel like flowers now? Something told me those clouds would turn around. We had storms, but you got blue right now. I hope those tears never hit the ground. Did you tell them how we traded hearts? And with broken wings we brushed the stars.
What's up, everybody? Ray Price here, ATXM News co-anchor and ATXM board member, alongside
Courtney Santana. I am an ATXM board member as well.
We are here for a very special event. This is the first segment of the Black History Month project that we're doing on behalf of ATXM News, highlighting one of the 3 individuals that you all helped us select. We are here actually live at the show, watching the fantastic
Poet Hawkins.
And we're going to sit down and we're going to hang out for a little while, catch some great tunes, chop it up for a little while, see what he has going on.
We're really excited that we're here. What we heard so far is so beautiful, but tell us a little bit more about yourself. How did you get started in music?
My father's a songwriter, so I feel like it's in my DNA. They had a gospel group back in the day. They traveled, and so growing up, I always thought, okay, I'm going to try to play guitar because my father played. Little did I know what was in store for me. As soon as I started playing, I've been completely immersed and inspired, and I hope this continues for a long time.
Just a girl that needs the road, faster than a rocket, but I'm holding on. She's telling me to go, but the exit's no, I'm staying on. Strong engine, but a broken heart. Brown eyes that drive you crazy. You lose the road when it's getting dark, but it's alright, you gotta drive straight through the silence and the heartache, pushing the gas until the tears break, watching the road until the lines fade.
What brought you to Austin?
Getting out of LA, wanting something different, knowing
I understand that.
I felt a calling. The pandemic, I think, for me was an awakening, and seeing what the possibilities of what the world had to offer. And so my wife and I moved here. She went to school in Abilene,
Okay.
so I didn't want to take her too far, Nashville or New York or something like that. And Austin was the absolute best place we could have landed.
Absolutely.
It has been unbelievable how much this city loves music and loves its artists. It is unbelievable. I could talk for an hour. But...
No, we love it.
Well, you hit like a tidal wave. I'll be honest, man. I've been in Austin for a while, and I learned new names and new artists like daily, right? And we made this post, and it was like one of those. If you're watching like a Netflix documentary, and they have like the highlights pop up. That's what it was like with your name. It was like, hey, so who do you guys recommend? And I'm like literally scrolling the comments, like Paul Hawkins, and I'm like, what in the world? And so that was honestly for me my first introduction. Kind of makes sense. You've only been here for 3 years.
Yeah.
But you've hit like a tidal wave, dude. Like I'm checking your stuff. You got awarded. Actually, Let's talk about that. There's
Yeah.
a lot of musicians. I think we have 3, 4, 5,000 registered musicians in the city, and you were one of those who were selected for the grant for your project. How did that come about, and what was that process like?
You know, I really have to thank Austin Music Foundation. I heard about them randomly at an open mic, somebody just having a conversation off to the side. And I said, hey, that sounds like something I should do. And meeting with them and them helping me to understand how this city works as far as music, the history of the music that's here. You don't just come here like, oh, I'm from LA and this is a smaller town. And so understanding the dynamic of the city, how to go about shows, getting into rooms that I would have otherwise not been in. And also BMI, Mitch Ballard has been a huge help to my career. So things like that sort of, you start to hear, okay, these are the opportunities. So many opportunities here. And you just have to kind of have your antennas up to find them. So I heard about it and I knew immediately that I was going to apply. And I filled out the paperwork, and it's been an unbelievable roller coaster.
Okay, incredible. And so what do we expect from that? What's the project going to be from the?
So the project is called Electric Heart.
Okay.
And it's really a collection of songs that deal with reconciling relationships, and dealing with the true nature of really wanting to figure this out. Why is this not working? Those conversations, those really intimate conversations, and perspectives about relationships. So that is the project that's coming out of the grant. I've been able to hire musicians and mixing and mastering and do the whole thing. And as someone who has been in LA and struggled, it is a humongous blessing to have the financial backing and the moral support of the city to accomplish this goal.
Prices are going up, but you feel way, way down. Tears are like coins you carry now. And I wanna take that cup and fill you up somehow. But you got the kind of love you just can't spare right now. Love is free, but sometimes you pay with time. You're banking on hearts to be around. And I've got 1,000 dreams, I say, but you turn them down. You've got the kind of gold that makes men wait around. You've got a heart of gold, a heart of gold. And I wanna find that gold that surrounds you. You've got a heart of gold, a heart of gold. And I wanna find your heart and remind you.
Well, and I wanted to ask you, that kind of piggybacks and goes into what I was going to ask. What's your inspiration? Because I listened to the words and it caught me a couple of times, like things that I'm going through, very relatable lyrics. So I wanted to know, what inspires you? Where do you get these ideas from? Because they're very, very relatable and lovely.
I had some really cool mentors because I started with poetry, and I had some really cool mentors, and we would go to Starbucks, we would go to the beach and pray. And one thing that you learn about being a poet is how to be observant. I'm always listening, whether it's conversations, whether it's things that I'm going through, and that is what sort of fuels my music. So I'm happily married, and we don't have, we're not in turmoil or anything like that, but I feel like it's my calling to articulate some of that pain that people go through.
Okay. Yeah. So, and I love it because, the name, Poet Hawkins.
Yeah.
Right.
How long have you had that name?
You know what? It's been pretty recent. I think since I moved.
Okay.
Ironically, I didn't realize how popular my name was until I really started, getting some traction.
Well, what was it before? Let's go back before.
So before, I was trying to go by William Devon Hawkins.
Okay.
But if you guys remember the famous soul singer, William Devon, people kept tagging me. Like Donnie in the back, sun rooftop. And I was like, that's not me.
Yeah.
And
you could ride that wave.
I could ride that wave. And so there's another, when I was going to get my website and all these things, there's another William Hawkins. So I was like, okay, what am I going to do? And I think I was looking on Google. And my middle name, which is Devon, according to Google, in Irish means poet. And that was it.
Wow.
That was what I needed. So it's been about 3 to 4 years that I've been using that,
That's
and it sticks.
So I think it's really, really important for us to remember the origins of music. And I love that when I was listening to you, I close my eyes and I hear folk, I hear Americana, I hear a lot of different genres. I don't hear just R&B and what we're known jazz. Well, I'm not hearing those genres. I'm hearing something different.
Right.
So during Black History Month, what do you want to share with other musicians that are people of color, black musicians, about being able to cross genders so that you can reach other people maybe that don't look like us? Because I think that you have an appeal that it doesn't, it's not a hip hop appeal, it's a folk appeal.
Right.
And to get you in different rooms. So
Right.
what do you think about that during Black History Month?
I think that we're building on greatness. When we talk about our Nina Simones and our Ray Charles, who at that point were different. They were going and challenging sort of the status quo. That is what I would like to be, and I think I'm mature enough, and I've understood. Even early on, I remember in college, I had this girlfriend, and when I started doing music, I was like, "Oh, this isn't going to work out because I'm trusting this voice. Like I sound different, I'm saying things differently, but I trust it." And that's what I wish that more Black artists would do, is really trust their voice, even when it sounds different. Because sometimes it'll be people that look like you that might look beyond you, but what you're offering is not just a Black thing. It's a heart thing. It's a human thing. It's a spiritual.
Yeah.
What an incredible story. That's a new artist to me. I've never heard this person's story or music. So this is a great opportunity for me to educate myself and kind of broaden my horizons in the music community.
Absolutely. He's one that embodies Black history and Black music in Austin. But what is Black history as a whole anyway, right? It's a celebration, it's an honoring, it's preserving, and then showcasing, reliving those Black leaders, those Black contributors to arts, music, to civil rights, to advocacy, to movements, revolution, all of that, right? And it's consolidated into 1 month, but we celebrate it all year round. We're fortunate to have at least this time to showcase some of the artists and great leaders that have done things outside of the city, and then of course focused on Austin, Texas, and focused specifically on the arts, and then on music. Poet Hawkins is a great embodiment of that. But we have many, many talented musicians in the city who contribute to some of the most glorious and beautiful art that we're fortunate to hear. And the way that kind of is preserved and amplified comes from exactly how we came across the Poet Hawkins, right? Was the community themselves, many of which are of Black descent, that spoke up and said, hey, I support this person. Let's all come together and let's put his name in the hat because he's one that should be honored. So it wasn't anything that we had to go do and research and find from outside sources outside of the community. It was all right here, right? From Black artists and musicians and beyond that as well, but a focus on, it's Black History Month. And so it was really, really good to get that. And I think that that's the same for any Martin Luther King or what have you. Of course, it's on different scales, but the feeling and the movement and the inspiration is all the same, right? It causes act, it causes unity and all those things. And then these fantastic musicians are, again, total embodiments of that.
Absolutely, like really well done. That's amazing. The next artist that we're going to introduce, I personally asked to introduce her because I am such a fangirl. I'm very excited to show you some footage from Courtney Santana.
So Courtney, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into music.
Oh my goodness. Let's see. Well, I've been in Austin doing live music now for close to 30 years. I'm telling my age. I should be telling that. But I've been here for a really long time. I started in musical theater here at Zach Scott Theater, and I met a couple of guys that were in a show with me, and they're like, hey, do you want to sing in a band? And I'm like, I guess. So then I started singing with a band called the Atlantic Soul Review. They were an offshoot of the Ugly Americans and the whole Bob Schneider legacy. So I met, Vallejo, like we all came up together in the mid-90s. And then I just broke off here recently and started doing my own music. I've got an album coming out, and I've sung with several groups here in town, been on several albums. So I'm really rooted in Austin. I love Austin a lot, and it's been good to me musically. So.
Rooted in Austin, that's amazing. So are you from Austin, like born and raised?
No, I'm from Massachusetts.
Wow, so what brought you here to Austin then?
My mother's divorced. She moved to Houston, and then I went to the University of Texas, and I just stayed here. Had my babies here, and it's a hard city to get away from. It's hard to break up with Austin.
For sure. So when you were in Massachusetts, then were you doing music there, or were you introduced to the whole live performance, Broadway theater from Austin's culture?
Well, it's funny because I danced. I was in a dance company for most of my childhood. I didn't start singing until I was in my 20s. Yeah. Well, I did musical theater at Zach, and they were like, "Well, can you sing?" And I go, "I think I can." And then I started singing here in Austin about right when I started doing musical theater.
That's incredible. Shout out to Austin. I mean, I'm telling you, it breeds us out here. It does.
It does.
All right. So, what do you love most about making music?
I love the collaborative effort. Here recently, I've been writing a lot, and it's so much fun to have a thought in your head and then have other people bring it to life with you.
Yeah.
There are times where you're sitting there and you have a block or something, and another musician will say, "Well, why don't we do it this way?" And it just clears that block for you.
Yeah.
I love writing music, and it's for me, it's healing. I'm a survivor of domestic violence, and during that time, I wrote a ton of songs. Just a ton. It was a way for me to heal. It was a way for me to be angry, air out my grievances. It was a good process for me. So I love writing music. I write all the time.
That's awesome. So,
Yeah.
can you explain a little bit about your writing process? Right, you talked about writer's block. As musicians, we get that
Yeah.
often.
Yeah.
So, what's your process?
My process is if I get a thought, like today, we're sitting out here and it's beautiful, finally, it's at 100 degrees, I'll just be like, okay, I just want to write a song about that and start with lyrics and then come up with a melody. Sometimes I hear the melody first. It's kind of varied. It just depends on how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, can you tell us about Survive to Thrive?
Yes.
And how did that come about and who they serve?
Well, I'm a survivor of 23 years. Survivor of sexual assault and domestic violence, and I decided I wanted to go back and help the community that looked like me. There's so many underserved people that are displaced and find themselves homeless because they leave their violence, and I feel like if you're brave enough to leave, you should be met with open arms, you should be met with resources and a soft place to land. So all the resources that come from Survive to Thrive have to do with resource management for victims who leave with basically a toothbrush and they have to start all the way over. They don't have cars, they don't have jobs. So that's what we do with Survive to Thrive. And it's become now a hotel safety net. So when service providers like the police or other shelters bring people to us, we place them in hotels and then we come up with a plan and then try to permanently place them somewhere else that's permanent housing.
So, Courtney, it's been an absolute pleasure. You're a wonderful advocate,
Thank you.
representing voices of women, people of color, doing so much amazing work in the community around the world. On behalf of Austin, Texas musicians, we like to ask if you would join us on the board of directors.
Oh, of course. I'm excited about that. I've wanted to create, in Austin, I feel like we need to have more representation of Black and brown people. And I would love to be on the board because I think this is it's a huge voting block. Patrick and I have talked about this. It's time to mobilize this group of people to living better here because the cost of living is crazy, so we have to create opportunities for sustainable programs for us. We need to be collaborating more, so creating those synergies. And I really believe, I've looked at what they've done in the past. I think that I could be an asset with the resources that I have and the network that I have.
Alrighty. Courtney,
Yeah.
Thank you so much. It's an honor and a pleasure to have you on the board. I've been on the board for several years now, and I love it. Welcome you to the team. It's going to be incredible. I'm so excited to work with you.
Yeah.
And congratulations.
Thank you.
We started with a handshake, but I think we've
Come on.
broken that barrier. You know what I mean?
We broke the wall, right?
Yeah. Thank you.
There's going to be many of those in the future.
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you.
We're so glad to have such a phenomenal musician and advocate on our team at ATXM. Last, but very much not least, let's hear from Austin rapper, singer, and songwriter, now my guy, Mr. Moses.
Yeah. Listen, I went from a one bedroom on the first floor with roaches to a 2-bedroom, a backyard and front porch. I could've popped 3 pills and called the shit quits, but then I saw my son's eyes and knew that life would be a gift. So I'm still here, painting a picture Picasso never finished. Your best is your next, and my canvas ain't got no limit. When I was born, I cried, the world rejoiced. So before I die, I'm making sure to leave you my voice.
So I grew up here in Austin, Texas. Went to Crockett High School down the south. Grew up in the South Side, and went to college in Louisiana. Went to Northwestern State on scholarship, partial scholarship. And then in 2010, I moved back here in Austin and just kind of figured out life for a little bit. 2012, went back to Texas State on a full ride scholarship for opera. So yeah, I've been in the singing world for my whole life. I want to say 2014, I left school and just started gigging around Austin, auditioned for a band a little bit later on in the years called The Capitol. And we've been together for 5 or 6 years now. Just joined another band called Dub Eckies. It's like a hip hop electro fusion band. And that band is doing really good as well. So yeah, I think I'm doing what I would have been doing with my degree, you know, so I finished an over degree. But if you go to Texas State, you can see me on the side of a bus. I actually wasn't planning on going to a major college when I graduated high school. I was working at Goodwill, and that was it. Like right after high school, that was the only thing that I could think of was just start working, right? And then a teacher from a different high school who knew who I was through my choir teacher said, "We're about to take our kids to audition for this school. You should come and jump on the bus." So I said, all right, why not? Couldn't hurt. So I went and auditioned, and I just auditioned with a song that I had knew from high school. And they were like, all right, we would like to have you here, and we're gonna offer you this much to come here. And I said, hey, Mom, is this a good idea? And she was like, hey, you got into a college, let's go. I had already been in the choir world, but then when you go there, you learn your solo ability, you know, and I didn't know that I was capable of doing solo stuff. There weren't too many people that looked like me, you know what I'm saying? So I just kind of had to blend in. I've always had that ability to just be friendly with whoever, you know, like I'm a people person. So going in there, I just kind of presented myself as, you know, the non-threatening black man, you know, like everybody perceives you differently. You know? Back then, I had a mini fro. Like the dreads weren't there just yet, so it was a little different. And I had like a skater guy vibe, you know? And after that, I said, let me just see what this is about. Keep going. And so when I left school, I came back, sat down and figured out life for a little while. And another opportunity presented itself, like, you should go back to school. So I was like, okay, if this is what the universe wants, I'm gonna do it. Yeah. So I went back to school and I auditioned for Texas State, and I guess the director there really saw some potential in me, and I think his name was Samuel Mungo. He said, man, come and sing opera for me, man. And I said, okay. And I ended up getting a lead role in Don Giovanni from Mozart. And that's like a really long opera. And we cut some things out. We did it in English. It was supposed to be in Italian. But like I've studied Italian, I've studied French, I've studied German. Like I can sing all these languages.
This was back in 2012, 2013. That's you over there? Yeah. No dreads, all from. Every city and every nation has its own. And with reputation. And there's a whole orchestra down in the pit, you know? Just rise and give me satisfaction. It's amazing. Come read it with me. It's amazing. Come read it with me.
While I was in school, I still had this passion for hip hop. You know, like I loved to rap. That was always my thing. So while I was in school, I was, you know, trying to write beats and you know, rap while I was there. I brought like a little mini microphone, had my little setup. And whenever I had a chance, when I wasn't doing homework, when I wasn't studying in school, I would just go home and just write. So having all those abilities, I tried to transition like what I learned from music theory into making beats. So like there was a time where I wasn't sampling as much. Now I sample a little more often, but I was always just trying to create my own thing from the ground up. And always having that ability landed me shows to perform with different artists around Austin. But there was always this, I don't know, I would say, like you said, like rappers are a dime a dozen, man. There was always this competitive feel with hip hop in Austin. You know, like everybody did it, and if you were doing it, you were a competition. And there wasn't a lot of support, you know, for what I was doing. And I was thinking to myself, am I just like on the outside and I just don't see it? You know, like where do I fit in? Because I have this other side of me, and I think that's what kind of like threw people off is I don't just rap. You know, like I embody music as a whole. Yeah. You know, and so bringing that to the forefront was important for me. You know, and I just stayed true to myself. Yeah. You know, when you stay true to yourself, the doors open up. I'm sitting chilling, and I get tagged in a Facebook post about looking for a front man to audition for a funk band. Yeah. So I answered the post and said, hey, y'all looking for a singer? And they said, yeah. I went and auditioned, and they were like, yo, we would love to have you. And they wanted me to audition with Bruno Mars. Bro, I'm a bass baritone, and Bruno's a tenor. I don't sing that high, but I did the best I could, you know. And they were like, we'd love to have you. And so I said, okay, cool. And I also write music. So I presented them my music. And then now that's like one of the songs that everyone loves in the band. And it's all on Spotify. You can find that song.
What's the name of the song?
Summer Rain. I didn't get to where I am by saying I'm the shit 24/7. I believe it in my mind that I'm really good, you know, but that's really up to the proof of my work, you know? And the validation comes from being a part of so many different things and be able to perform those things. So it's like, I want to liberate the people. I want to, you know, liberate people with my music and say, let my people go, because Austin's changed and I see so much better in the people that are here. Like, we could be doing better. We could be doing this and that. You know, it was never looking down on anybody. It was just, I want to uplift everybody to the fullest potential. Yeah. And so the name just kind of stuck. And then since then, I've just been being my authentic self through that name.
Absolutely fantastic stuff. Being in the studio, it's always crazy, right? When you see something online, it's awesome, you get to look at it, but you don't get the full feeling. Being in the space, watching this guy create, watching him do opera, watching the opera videos, I'm like, what? There's no way. But absolutely, opera singer, singer in the choir, musician, as you saw, rapper, all the things. And so to be able to be around that's exactly what we're talking about. The reason why the community spoke up and said, hey, highlight Mr. Moses, is because how can you not be inspired, right? So
I'm inspired, and I hope that all of you watching know how completely lucky and blessed you are to have someone like Moses, as well as all of the other musicians that live in this city. We're very lucky, and we hope that we were able to shine a little bit of light on some truly amazing musicians for this Black History Month episode. And with that, our special episode comes to an end.